Hey everybody, this is Jaleel Mans from New Alpha CDC, and I'm here with another update on the Justice First Tour. You'll never guess who I'm with today. I'm here with Reverend Michael Malcolm, and today we're going to have a little bit of a talk. I met Reverend Michael Malcolm on the Justice First Tour in Raleigh, and we also attended together in Charlotte. So how are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing well. How you doing now, Mr. Mans?
Always good, always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please take a minute to introduce yourself to the people so that they know who you are. I know who you are, but not everybody out there knows who you are.
Well, I'm Reverend Michael Malcolm. I am a part of the Justice First tour by way of invitation from Reverend Woodberry with our work with the People's Justice Council that we do together through the nonprofit that I actually founded and direct, which is Martha's Corner. I am also the environmental justice representative for the Southeast Conference of the United Church of Christ. So not only do I bring my organization uh, along with me on the Justice First tour, but I also um, bring the United Church of Christ, the Southeast Conference of the United Church of Christ, along with me as well.
That is awesome. So tell us a little bit more about what Martha's Corner does specifically.
So Martha's Corner is the outreach of the church that I pastor, which is Rush Memorial. It's our 501c3 nonprofit. We deal in both human services as well as advocacy. Our mission is to educate, or to engage, to educate, and to equip and empower the communities to be able to fight for themselves when doing justice work.
That's amazing. So I can see exactly how this ties into the Justice First tour. So it's good. It was great
Absolutely.
to meet you in person, and I'm sure I look forward to seeing you on the rest of the tour with us. So I wanted to know, exactly how is it that you met Reverend Leo Woodberry?
So I met Reverend Woodberry through my work with Sustaining Way in Greenville, South Carolina. I was the community development coordinator, and eventually I actually transitioned over into being the director of South Carolina Interfaith Power and Light, which I still hold that position right now. Or to this day. Let me not say right now as if though I'm about to leave. I still hold that position to this day. And I met Reverend Leo Woodberry during a retreat that we did planning the Carolina Faith Leader Network, some events and activities that we were going to do together. And he just made an immediate impact on my life from that very moment. And I said, this is a man whose feet I've got to sit at. And since then, I've been sitting at his feet and learning all things environmental justice. In fact, I call him my EJ pastor. And so when I call him up, sometimes I want to talk to Reverend Woodbury, and then sometimes I have to say, hey, Rev, I need to talk to my EJ pastor for a minute and run things by him for the environmental justice work that I'm doing. And he's just been a great resource.
So leading into that, what are some of the things that you've learned from Reverend Leo Woodberry?
I think what people see him and they see him out, and he's outspoken, and he fights on the side of those who are underserved. However, what I don't think people really recognize is the innovation that he actually brings to the table. I enjoy speaking with him because he makes me think in ways that I didn't see it that way before. And so it challenges my thought process in being creative and finding ways to engage the community. And not only engage them from a social justice and environmental justice standpoint, but also an economic justice standpoint. If you listen at him and listen at his entrepreneurial heart and entrepreneurial spirit that he has, you'll find a wealth of information when it comes down to not only accessing people, but accessing economy to help those who are disadvantaged as well.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot that you've learned. You know, we've all learned, you know, different things from him in our experiences, and that really kind of brings another question to mind, which is, you know, now that you've participated in the Justice First tour in Raleigh, in Charlotte, we're heading at the time of this video, we're preparing to head into Virginia, into Hampton Roads area, Newport News, Hampton, and Richmond. You know, my question for you is, you know, what does Justice First mean to you as Reverend Michael Malcolm?
Well, when I look at Justice First, I have to immediately say it's exactly that, putting justice first. Um, Oftentimes we put symptoms and we put conditions first, and we treat symptoms and we treat conditions, but we never treat the root cause, which is that injustice, which is us not being equitable. And so not only am I looking at justice first from a standpoint of us having one unified voice to say that all justice issues are of relevance to all communities, but I'm also looking at justice first as how we prioritize. More often than not, we prioritize our well-being, we prioritize our survival, we prioritize, particularly in the African American community, we prioritize those things that are tangible for us, but we don't prioritize justice. And what does justice first look like, or what does justice look like? It looks like you putting justice first in your home. In other words, starting to have conversations in your house with those of same kind and same thought, to say, hey, to that older person that has a 1950s and 60s mentality, if you understand exactly what I'm saying, that's not a good way to think, and showing them some way different to think and still giving them hope in the process. The same thing with when it comes down to the environmental justice, and climate care and creation justice and creation care. When you start looking at these things and you start having conversations in your home to say, hey, you know, let's not put that wrapper in the trash can. Let's go ahead and throw that in the recycling bin, or that can in the recycling bin, or saying, hey, instead of us going to Six Flags this weekend or Whitewaters this weekend, or let's get in the backyard and let's see if we can't build some edible landscape so we can grow some of our own food, and we can give back to the community. Or even to say, hey, let's get with Dogwood Alliance this weekend, or let's volunteer with Sierra Club, or let's volunteer with the People's Justice Council. But having somewhere to go, some LGBT community, some other justice community that you find that you'll have somewhere to go to start giving back to people and planet, instead of us constantly taking away from. And
Wow.
listen, I'm sorry I got on my soapbox, but that's one of them, and I can ride that one good.
Hey, well, you know, we all have things that we hold near and dear to our heart that we're passionate about. And you started to answer my next question already, which that question was, you know, how do you think real change, you know, can happen? And you've already mentioned taking some action, you know, volunteering with organizations, you know, connecting with people. But, you know, is there anything else that you wanted to add to, you know, how do you think real change can happen?
Yeah, but notice I said in that, Jaleel, let's do this together as a unit. So you're not just doing it by yourself, because it's easy for us to be individual contributors. We can individual, and it's necessary for us to be individual contributors. But we don't just want to make individual contributors. We want to make disciples, and we want those disciples to go out and make disciples, and continue to multiply the effects of this discipleship around this area of justice. Because after all, my faith tradition, my Christian faith tradition, tells me that justice and righteousness are the attributes of God. And if we say that we are going to be God-like, then my brothers and my sisters, we've got to put justice first for all people. And so we start having conversations in our home, and we start getting involved as a family, and we start reaching out to those who are close to us as far as our friends are concerned, and start having these conversations. So these conversations become natural for us. They aren't forced anymore. They're just natural conversations. And in doing so, you start changing minds. I've often said that the channel to the mind is through the ears and through the eyes. And we don't use those gates to open people up to understanding something different. Instead, we take positions and we say us versus them, and never trying to find some mutual platform. And I think the Justice First Tour gives us that mutual platform to at least start engaging in the conversation, so that we can see where there are some balance between us, or there is some common ground. And that common ground at the end of the day is justice. I believe it was Dr. King who said something to the effect of what happens to one happens to us all. Injustice for one is an injustice for all. And we need to start really looking in those terms. So that brother or that sister, that brown or black brother and sister that get killed in the street, hurts us economically. It hurts us socially. It also hurts us environmentally. It hurts our military, the way our military is looked at. It hurts the way our policing system is looked at. It hurts it all. And we need to start having this conversation that it shows us where it's all interlinked, it's all interchangeable, it's all intertwined. And so that way, when when Dogwood Alliance goes out to protest against some trees being cut down, or they have some big campaign where they're planting trees, and all of us get involved. Or when Kingdom Living Temple or New Alpha CDC goes to go to the next State House Advocacy Day, all of us show up. That's what I'm trying to see here, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's also what I'm trying to do with the Southeast Conference, so that the 55 churches that are within the Southeast Conference also join into this movement of a unified voice saying justice first. And so let me call out to my churches that are in the Southeast Conference with the United Church of Christ. Let me put it in terms that only I can understand best, because I'm the one saying it. Get at me, dog. I need y'all help. I need you all to come and be a part of this great move that we're doing called the Justice First Tour. In fact, we've already started adding future dates as well as future engagements. And we want to keep this thing going so it can continue to be a dialogue that happens not only in the Southeast, but throughout the country, because it's very, very important, and it's very, very necessary that we start having these dialogues. And I apologize, I got on the soapbox again.
Hey, well, it's no problem. I'm not surprised Reverend Michael Malcolm is putting out the word today. So, with that's going to be our last question this time, but of course not the last time that we see Reverend Michael Malcolm during the Justice First Tour. So for now, what we want you to do is just keep your eyes open. We have another series of videos coming this way, more interviews with participants, co-hosts, and presenters of the Justice First campaign and the Justice First Tour. So for now, we say goodbye to Reverend Michael Malcolm, only temporarily, and then from there, we're going to keep working towards pushing this Justice First Tour, bringing awareness everywhere, and creating one umbrella we can all come under to deal with injustice.
Thank you, Mr. Mans, for your time.
All right, we appreciate it.
And we look to see you all on the Justice First Tour.
Always.